Most of the show's names don't make sense anyway.
Well, it's usually just their name
Like
in the...
kids.
We're not calling it the Tim DeBona Show.
The Tim DeBona Immaculate Reception. Reception? Not a reception. Inception. That's a word that's it. No, it's called Anxiety Cues. Are we ready? Welcome everybody to another... Let's start again. Welcome to Anxiety Cues. Another episode in understanding what it's like to be put under pressure in a moment and explain what it is that you do for life. It's a good enough introduction, right? I'm your host, Tim DeBona. And here we have Jessica Ellis Wilson, Practical Management. So tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, Practical Management and Leadership Consulting does business consulting, specifically a lot of justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion work as well. Jedi, so if you want to learn to be a Jedi Master, you can always call me.
You created this acronym, I assume?
I did not create the acronym. I can't take credit for it. I just stole it.
So I imagine you have a theatrical background. That would kind of flow into that pretty nicely, that you're going to be...
Yeah, that's my other life. We don't talk about that.
Oh, so you don't mix your nerd life into this at all?
I try not to.
So here's my question. When it comes to keeping up on gender diversity and all that type of stuff, it seems, or at least from my perspective, very fast evolving pace. So how do you keep up with it?
How I keep up with it is I spend an inordinate amount of time. This is one place where I can bring my nerd into it. I spend a lot of time reading the research studies that are getting published. So 16 months into pandemic, what we're seeing a lot of in the research is the ways that the health disparities that are already in society have been exacerbated by the hate rhetoric that came out against Asian Americans with calling coronavirus the China virus and things like that. We saw a spike in hate crimes. We saw a spike in anxiety, stress, mental health issues, and we saw a decrease in people accessing care and being connected to their community because there's ostracization that happens with that type of thing. The same goes with any sort of marginalized identity. When there's a backlash in society, we see it in the health disparities as well. So I read a lot of the research, I try and keep up with as much as I can. I spend a lot of time on virtual conferences, hearing other people's perspectives, and just trying to stay as abreast as possible.
And how is it possible for everyone to kind of keep up on this stuff? Because I look at this stuff like that is just a subsection too. There are so many people, if you look over the last year, you have COVID, you have Black Lives Matter, you have what you were talking about with other minority groups and things like that. And even non-minority groups, you have like a record race. I was looking to get my license to carry this year, and it's 9 months behind because the demand from the beginning of COVID through Black Lives Matter, all this stuff, people getting scared, people not feeling comfortable in this space or whatever.
Well, and a lot of the shops closing with COVID for a few months and then limiting capacity, and there's a backlog in the state processing things.
I guess my question is, how do you feel, I mean, obviously, I imagine this for you is not only a job, but it's part of a mission for you. You're passionate about this. So do you see the mission actually as being something that can be accomplished though? It seems like it's a mountain.
Well, I think that there's definitely recognition with any kind of social activism that it is a marathon and not a sprint. And, we see incremental progress, and are we going to get to complete equity within human society in my lifetime? Probably not.
Yeah.
I have high hopes for some of the generations coming up underneath me because they certainly are a lot more open and accepting than our generation was taught to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that any incremental change we make towards progress is something to be celebrated.
I think that's interesting because that's a pragmatic way of looking at it, and I would think that you'd be more, I don't know how we're going to get there, but we need to get there. Well, because the reality is it's like even a few years ago there was this big anti-bullying push was a big thing. The reality is that there's no society that's going to exist, and you can call me whatever you want, but that there's going to be, you're not going to void out bullying. Bullying is going to exist, people are going to be called names. But there's a difference between bringing awareness or making people feel more empowered to combat it or confront it or to help people in places like that.
Right, and you can't get rid of all of society's ills, right? But we have become a society that has a lot of permission around being mean, partly because our sort of outdated social norms of behavior don't seem to apply to the internet. The problem with that is that the power in society lies with the groups in majority, right? So things that disproportionately affect marginalized people are not going to be felt by most of the people in the majority. So we have to raise empathy. If we raise empathy and we look at it as small incremental goals, then it doesn't feel so overwhelming. So, I mean, in our lifetime, we've seen homosexuality be decriminalized. We've seen same-sex marriage, become not only the law in Massachusetts, but the law everywhere.
Is this so? I have a feeling Jada's going to say we've gone way over what we're trying to do. I think this would be a good thing too, because I'm sure we have plenty of information now on clearly where your knowledge base is, what you talk about. So what is a typical job I don't know if there's a typical job for you, but so when people are going to reach out to you to get your assistance, what is it that they're looking for? So people who are watching this can know, okay, I could use Jessica's help for this.
So there's a few branches of my business, right? Practical management, leadership consulting. We do traditional business consulting. So you're a physician, you're looking to start a practice, you're a nonprofit, you need some help with your board, you need to do some board retreats or some mission and vision stuff. We also do needs-based training. And then I also speak. I speak nationally on a whole lot of topics, mostly leadership and bias, racism, healthcare, but I do a lot of personal stories and I do a lot of teaching as well. I do keynotes, workshops, seminars. So, there's a lot of different things that I do. The best way is, go to the website, take a look at the list, see what interests you.
What's the website?
It's pmalconsulting.com.
Awesome.
Practical Management and Leadership Consulting.com. So PMAL Consulting, and the website's there, and it's our contact information. You can see everything about us almost, and hopefully get in touch.
Yeah, and I've worked with Jessica in multiple capacities, whether it's from different volunteer organizations where we try to help out different groups, and we have also worked professionally with clients as well together, so I certainly fully endorse Jessica and her services that she provides. And I appreciate you being the first guest at Anxiety Cube.
Victim is the word for once.
How'd you like it? It wasn't that bad, right?
No.
Thank you, we'll catch you at the next one.